Bushra is in Ruislip. Bushra, good evening. What's your question?
Good evening, Daniel. So I'm calling on behalf of my sister, who's a teacher's assistant. Currently, she's working as an agency staff member. She does go into school because she's working with key worker children and vulnerable children who are in school. And it's a long-term contract, so she's been going to the same school for quite a few weeks. She was wearing a face covering all day, apart from at lunchtime when she was eating, to protect herself and also to protect my father, who's a shielded patient who she lives with. So for that reason, she was very careful with that. Now, she was getting on absolutely fine with her job, and recently she was approached by the deputy head saying that actually we don't want you to wear the face covering as it does interfere with working with children and it's against our policy. They said that they would provide an alternative. They will try and find a shield, like a see-through shield. But I'm a doctor, actually, and I do know that the shield, I know a lot of people do use it, but it doesn't provide the protection of a tight face covering. And the shield, the only real use is in high-risk situations like an ITU when you use it with a mask. So I know that actually that is not really going to help. So I just really wanted to find out the legal standing for her.
Bushra, that's a great question, and it does make me so cross when employers think they are somehow immune from common sense and try to stop people taking basic protections rather than doing everything they can to encourage people to take basic protections. And I do understand that in a school there is a real benefit in being able to see the teacher's face and being able to see the teacher's expression, particularly if English isn't the first language of some of the students. But even so, for the next 6 months, for goodness sake, I just wish I could drag that deputy head here, give him or her a shake and say, grow up a little bit. Has your sister actually seen this policy? Is it a policy that's written down, or is it a made-up policy?
So, I was thinking exactly that, because obviously I'm a GP, I'm a partner. So suddenly when COVID hit, lots of new policies were drawn up. So I suppose it would be interesting to find out if they've written it down. But if they have, it's probably an internal school policy. I suppose, yes, that's the first thing to do, is to find out whether it's an internal policy, whether it comes from the local education authority. But to me, it seems like it's going against her human rights to, in the middle of a pandemic, not to allow her to protect herself, especially when she's proven for the last few weeks that she's been working very effectively with the face mask. They've suddenly just sort of approached her now.
Yeah. Now, there are some health and safety rights that employees have, but your sister isn't going to be an employee of the school, is she, if she's working through an agency? So those rights don't apply to her, which doesn't make things easy. I would do is I would get her to immediately lodge a formal grievance with the chair of governors, because that will scare the school. They won't like that one little bit, and they'll get into a bit of a tiz, and they'll suddenly decide maybe we ought to seek some legal advice on this. And that'll just drag things out, because what they're not going to do is dismiss your sister or terminate her contract while she's got a live complaint in about a health and safety issue to the chair of the governors. But in terms of absolute legal right to insist on wearing a mask, as ridiculous as it is, Bushra, she doesn't have one. Or more accurately, she has a right not to come into work and to stay at home if she believes that there is a serious and imminent risk to her health and safety. But it's not at all clear, because the law is very unclear on this, as to whether that's paid or unpaid. And the last thing she wants to do, of course, I imagine, is A, let down her students, and B, be sitting at home not knowing whether she's going to get paid and knowing she won't find out for another 3 years till a court case comes along.
Can I ask in advance, so after the formal grievance letter to the chair of governors, if that doesn't work, could you mention the next steps, just so in case I need them?
Well, there aren't very many next steps, actually. As I say, she has the right to stay at home, but it's not clear whether that is paid or unpaid. If the grievance to the chair of governors doesn't work, and I suspect the chair would simply pass it to the head teacher to deal with, and then there would be an appeal to the chair of the governors. if that doesn't work, there really aren't that many courses of action for her because she's not an employee. She can't claim constructive dismissal. Even if she was an employee, she doesn't have the 2 years employment she'd need to do it. And she really is reliant on the internal processes. She could also, and this depends how much of a whistleblower she wants to be, she could also report them to the health and safety executive. And if she does that, she's probably bought herself whistleblower protection, which means if her contract's then terminated, she'd have the right to bring a claim for loss of salary and injury to feelings. Now, that might be quite a useful thing to do tactically if, and I emphasise the if she wants to become known as a whistleblower, because that might make it harder for her to find another agency placing at another nearby school.
I think so, but no, that's been really helpful, Daniel. Thank you so much.
Bushra, thank you so much. And I do hope your sister sorts that out, because it's an absolutely hideous position to be in, where you want to take steps to protect your health and safety, and your employer idiotically is saying that you're not allowed to do that. Melanie is in Barnet. Melanie, good evening. What's your question?